Here we go. Hey, Shell.
Hey, Lisa.
So today, you've come on the podcast a few times.
Hmm.
Usually
Yep.
it's Judy and I, but this time it's you and
You
me.
and me. Woohoo.
So, um, last week it was me and Judy talking about this month's book, which was the 12-week year.
Okay.
And I just couldn't contain myself. It is so much fun. I mean, the teacher in me obviously comes out
Of
here.
course.
I love talking about books and I love talking about self-help and productivity books.
Mm-hmm.
And you had one that I didn't want to wait to talk about. And you were like, let me, me. So I was like, yeah, let's talk about it. So the
Yeah.
book you have is, let's see it. Drum roll,
Let's see it.
please.
Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy.
Now, it is not the newest book on the shelf,
No,
but
no.
we've talked about components of this book before. And why don't you kind of give us a short, quick and dirty overview?
Quick and dirty overview with Eat That Frog. I mean, who wants to eat a frog? Think of it's talking about how to be the most productive and accomplish the things on your to-do list and get them done in the best manner possible.
Mhm.
So,
Because
yep,
they
go
talk
ahead.
about the frogs being the things you really don't want to do, but you got to do for
Mhm.
whatever reason.
Yep,
If
exactly.
you want to do them, but you don't want to do them, or you have to do them.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else
Yep.
says you have to do them. So whether it's a personal goal that you gotta get out of the way, or in your job, you've got to do
Right.
something that isn't tickling your fancy.
Right. Yeah. The things that are, you're putting on your list, all your things to do, there's going to be some items that are the biggest, ugliest, most awful things that have to be done, the big, awful frogs, but they still need to be done. And maybe
Mhm.
they could be even the most important ones. So they still need to be done. And just talking about how to most effectively get your to-do list done
Get your shit
and
done,
get your
girlfriend.
shit done. Yeah, absolutely.
So the first part that you and I were talking about was the first rule.
Yes.
There are three parts that we're going to talk about today. And the
Mhm,
first
mhm.
one is, if you have to eat two frogs, eat the ugliest one first.
Yes. Yep.
I have so many frogs to eat, and I got some pretty ugly ones.
Yep.
So what does that
I
mean
we, we
exactly?
we all do. So I mean, everybody's got important things that have got to done on their list that are of major importance. And if there's multiples of them, which one is the worst one? What is the most awful one that has to get done?
Hmm.
Do it. Get it done. Do it
And
first.
and I started doing that many years ago when I was exercising, and I figured, you know, get it done. I mean, how many times have you heard in an exercise program, exercise first thing in the morning?
Hmm.
And I mean, there was a few weeks ago, and you can tell if I'm going through a bad time
Hmm.
because I can actually, I mean, not go in the morning. I mean, that's happened like twice in the last year, maybe. And if I put it off, even
Hmm.
after a decade of regular exercising, if
Hmm.
I don't go in the morning, oh, to
Hmm.
go exercising at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, or heaven forbid, wait until later on in the evening. Oh,
Yep.
it's like I can't even compare it to anything. It is
Hmm.
hell.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and two, I mean, eating the ugliest frog first, doing the big awful task. For me, I do have a hard time doing it because I'm like, oh, I'll just do this first, or I'll just do this first. And then that keeps going and going and going. And guess what? Then my ugliest frog is still sitting there at the end of the day, and I haven't done it yet. And
Yeah,
and the ugliest frog is the most important things that need to get done. And you end up
they always
procrastinating.
are.
Yeah, and then they just don't happen.
Hmm. So
So
I actually have here the ugliest frog is the biggest, hardest, and often most important frog that you've got
right,
to
has
get
the
during
most
the day.
consequences. Yeah,
Hmm.
yep. And major consequences could be either positive or negative. Doesn't mean
Yeah, the
consequences
most
that
beneficial to your life
yeah.
or your business or your whatever you're
Yep.
pursuing, or the
Yep.
thing that's, yeah, just something that's got to get done that forever,
Mhm.
whatever reason, you just don't want to.
Yeah, like like calling Spectrum to, cancel a service, and you're gonna be on hold for 3 hours, and so I'll just do this first, and then I can sit down and call them, and then put it off and put it off, and guess what? Now it's 5 o'clock, and guess what? They're no longer open, and you can't call them and cancel it or whatever it might,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then it
Yes.
goes another day without being done. It's just. And for me at work, I've got this major document that I'm working on, and I'm like, oh yeah, well, I'll just help this user with this little task. And then I could really change my email out to this. Maybe
Get
I
rid
should
of a
just
few of those old emails.
maybe I should quick clean up my email first, and then I'll get to and then the day gets away from you. And then guess what? Now it's another day that I didn't get my document done. And it's a major component of my job right now. So, it's just those big, ugly frogs. You're best off to make a list of what your tasks are, what you need to get accomplished, and then prioritize them and figure out what is the most significant, biggest, ugliest frog on that list. And that should be the first thing you tackle in the
Yes,
day.
I mean, what's so weird? Why is that? It's so common that the thing, even if it's a job we love,
Mm-hmm.
there's always something that we don't love about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yep.
there's something on the to-do list that we just
Don't want. It's like, yeah, it's I think sometimes it might lead to a case of overwhelm where you just kind of go, because it's a big ugly frog. It's not just a ugly frog, it's big.
Mhm.
It's just like I said, you just procrastinate and put it off and think, well, I'll get to it in a minute.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm thinking of cleaning the house.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been going over to mom's house
Yep.
and helping her on a regular basis, just
Right.
keep up with all the
Life.
things, with
Yeah.
life things, because she's getting to be older and taking care of dad and
Mhm.
all of the things has
Right.
overwhelmed her.
Yep.
And one of the things I know is a big ugly frog for her is vacuuming,
Sure.
because I don't mind it, but
Yeah.
it's a labor intensive. And
Yep.
so
And
I've
she gets
taken that on
winded, and
for
yeah,
her.
she
So,
gets winded and overwhelmed, and yeah.
but in my house, when I'm thinking of cleaning, I despise doing bathrooms.
Yeah. I despise cleaning in general, but
Well, of
I,
course,
I do clean, but yeah, that's why I have Alice, my robot vacuum,
but you still have to vacuum. You just don't do
periodically,
it very often.
not very often.
That's like Caden came home this past weekend
Mm-hmm.
and he and Aubrey dusted the entire
Wow.
main floor. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, he
Nice.
noted to me that it appeared that it hadn't been done in quite some time.
Huh. Tell him he's more than welcome to come over here and dust anytime he'd like. Although the downside here with all the animals, you could dust today and it still needs to be dusted tomorrow. So,
Exactly.
but
So,
but yeah, I mean, for me, I love making checklists. I mean, I could make checklists till the cows come home. I mean, that's my hallelujah moment, is getting to make a checklist. So,
so one of the things that um, we talked about was this book also has a system for
yes.
figuring out what your biggest,
Mm-hmm.
ugliest frogs are.
Yep.
So,
The
and it's an
ABCDE method.
okay.
Yes.
So first of all, you're supposed to, I mean, like all, I don't know one system that doesn't have you do some planning.
Right.
Like
Yep.
I think it's usually like the night before for the next
Mhm.
day or
Yep.
first thing in the morning.
Yep.
Where are you going,
Mhm.
what you got on your plate.
Yep.
And this one has you make a to-do list basically, right?
Yeah. Yep. I mean, you could even do it once a week, and plan out your days, whatever works for you. But yeah, with the ABCDE method, your A's, those are your biggest, hairiest, ugliest frogs. They are the ones that you absolutely must do. They're the ones that have the most significance. They have the major consequences, either positive or negative. So those are your A's.
Okay.
And you may have multiple A's, multiple B's, and so on. But if you've got multiples, then you prioritize them A1, A2, A3, and so on.
Okay. So what are you? Okay. So A's are very important.
Yep. Your must do.
And they have the most significant consequences.
Correct. Yes.
B's are
the should do. Those have mild consequences or mild significance.
Okay. And
so
C
is nice to do, but no consequences.
If you don't.
Yep.
D,
delegate, things that you can delegate to somebody else.
And E
are the things you could eliminate from your to-do list altogether.
Okay. Or you can do in a perfect world or when you're done with everything else.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. Okay. Yep.
So where does playing the ukulele come in?
That'd be an E. That would be an E. That's not a to-do list. That's a want. That's on your wish
E's
list.
wants. You can do your E's after you're done with the other ones.
There you go. Yep.
Maybe that's why it's so hard for me. That's a goal of mine. I want to learn how to play the ukulele.
But a goal is different than a to-do list.
But if you don't have a to-do list and include your goals,
true,
you're never going to accomplish those. I mean, it's fun, but I always think I should be doing something else first.
Yep, you feel well. You've got to allow yourself that leeway or that
playtime.
Yeah, that self-care.
Okay.
That goes into self-care, allowing yourself to not feel guilty for doing something that you want to do. Something.
You're saying it's not a frog.
It's not a frog. No. Okay. It might be a tadpole. Not a frog.
Okay.
At least a big, hairy, ugly one.
Maybe it's a cute frog. Maybe it's one of those frogs that's going to turn into a prince.
There you go.
Yeah. You got to kiss a lot of frogs before you find your prince, kind of a thing. Yeah. Maybe that's the prince one.
Maybe.
Its lack of hair makes it the cute frog. Okay. So the next one is if you have to eat a live frog, which I guess I've assumed this whole time that they were all live and not like roadkill. If you have to eat a live frog at all, it doesn't pay to sit and look at it for very long.
Right. So with those big, hairy, ugly frogs, the more time you sit there looking at it and thinking about it, the worse it's going to be. So instead of, sitting there and hemming and hawing and deliberating and analyzing and all that, just do it. You need to just dive in and start working on it.
And I think you are a perfect example of this with our Sidetracked sisters. Okay. You are like, when we do our writing, you are like, got it, done, it's finished. Here's a picture, post. You are just so good at, and I'm like, ooh, I want to do this and I want to do that and I want to fix up this, and I look at it for a long time and it becomes a big hairy frog. Yes.
Well, yeah. And for me, if I don't get my writing done on our Thursday night meetings, it becomes a big, hairy, ugly frog.
Yeah.
So,
and it's not that it's a bad thing.
No.
We totally enjoy writing and laughing about these things and talking about them and planning for them. But for whatever reason, if it's not, I love, one of the things that I thought about when we were talking about this is time blocking. When that's one of the things I loved about teaching. You may not like this, but this is the time you do it every single day of your life. And you accomplish so many things throughout the course of the year with kids because you just do a little bit every day. It's a nice variety and you make progress in all the different areas because you don't kill yourself, doing all math, one day. You do a little bit of math every single day.
Exactly.
Make steady progress.
Yep. And even like exercising, it's not like you're exercising you can exercise every day, but it's not like you're exercising all day long. You set aside a time for doing it. Now, I was saying this tongue in cheek because I don't do this, but so if you set aside a time each day, this is the time that I do my exercise. And
I think that's why people like signing up for like spin classes and yoga classes because
Mhm.
this is the time. I go
Mhm.
there, I purchased this program.
Yep.
The glory of having a life coach. You're committing to yourself because you know utilized money, you've that has solidified your commitment.
Mhm. Yep. Well, and another thing with these big hairy frogs that, don't you sometimes they're a very overwhelming task, and so that's why people put off starting them. So
Mhm.
another part of it is break it down into pieces and just take one step at a time, because one step forward is better than no steps forward.
Yeah.
So at least if you break it down, I know working with Bradley, if I tell him, clean the basement, he looks at me with this dazed look on his face, like I don't know where to start. But if
Exactly.
I say, okay,
Mhm.
I want you to organize your underwear drawer. It's
Yep.
like, I mean,
Exactly.
break it down into the individual pieces, and it's much easier to accomplish. I'm
Now,
like,
now wait a second. If you
yeah,
say, if you break it down like that, is that the I guess that's not the biggest, ugliest frog, your underwear drawer,
well, no,
but
but I'm
it is
the
definitely a live frog that you're using that other concept. Just start.
yeah, but I mean, but so on my list is the big ugly frog, but to get him to help out or do it, I can't give him a big ugly frog because it won't get done.
He rejects big ugly frogs.
He rejects big ugly live frogs, dead frogs, doesn't matter. So I have to break it down, and I have to cut it up into manageable pieces and pour spaghetti sauce on it so that he doesn't know what he's eating.
Oh,
So
gross. Hey, don't they taste like chicken?
yeah, there you go. I don't know. I can't say that I would ever eat a frog.
Have you
But
ever
yeah,
had frog legs?
no.
I
Will
think
I
I
ever
have
have them?
once.
Will I ever have them? No. Mm-mm. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, break the large complex task down into bite-sized pieces. It's much easier to swallow. That frog is much easier to swallow if you don't have to bite its head off. Ugh.
I don't
Yeah,
think that's the part of a frog that you eat anyway,
I know.
you
Just
know. Anyway,
I'm just using the visual.
yeah. And now I don't know, the idea behind this one is tackle the hardest thing first.
Hmm.
And really what this second one also comes back to is you have to have a plan.
Yeah.
You have to have that list ahead of time of the
Hmm.
things that you want to accomplish any day. And
Exactly.
when I was working, when I was teaching and I wasn't married and I
Hmm.
just moved into the house downtown,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
was remodeling and doing the woodwork. I was making jewelry. I was doing all these different things every
Hmm.
weekend. Every Monday, I'd come to work and talk about all the things I had accomplished over the weekend. And they
Hmm.
were like, I hate you. Um, but I'm very good at, before you do a painting job, the thing
Hmm.
everybody hates is the prep work,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Yep.
Everybody hates the prep work of taping off the woodwork and laying
Hmm.
out the paper. You just want to get painting. Our
Hmm.
mother is included in that group of
Oh
people.
God, yeah.
Yes. But me, on the other hand, I've always been very good at prepping the whole thing. I don't
Hmm.
actually clean out the room, but really good about being methodical about getting the prep work done and then starting the process, starting on one end of the room and going, top to bottom, left to right.
Hmm.
And it's amazing. It gets
Hmm.
done.
It does.
It gets done.
Absolutely.
And people
Yeah.
go, how did you do that? And it's like, you just start with the thing
Yep.
that you hate doing the most.
Yep.
And you move on, and pretty soon it's done. And you're like, oh,
Well,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and it's funny, when you mention mom and painting, yeah, mom paints a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit over there, and then places get missed, and I mean it ends up looking wonderful. But yeah, when
I
I when
think it
I
actually takes longer with that strategy, though,
yeah.
than if that methodical, you know, A, B, C, D road.
But see, that's also a very linear way of thinking, whereas mom thinks in circles.
She, she does. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll
And
agree
then
with you there.
Judy overthinks. which she just wrote about recently.
Yep.
So,
And so she doesn't do it at all. She
and
doesn't
so
even
she
paint the
doesn't,
room.
no,
Yes.
because she sits there and looks at that live frog and she stares at it and it starts to rivet at her and she just continues to look at it from every angle and
Right.
so
Yeah.
mom just drives past the frog. So
oh yeah, totally. Okay, so moving on to
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay, and then the last part that I wanted to talk about this is, we were having a bit of a discussion about this one earlier, whether or not it's beneficial or not to have a frog eating partner.
True.
And we're talking about accountability there. And I guess I spoke a little early when I was talking about signing up for a class or committing to a life coach or having somebody who is your partner in crime can sometimes be, I think that's why so few people are entrepreneurs. So why so many people, us included, have been very successful in careers working for other people. That accountability is really hard to put onto yourself.
True. Yeah. I mean, now, and not everything, like I had mentioned to you earlier, is not everything is applicable to have an accountability partner, but where you can, it does help out. Like let's say, painting. It's a lot more fun to do it with somebody than doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
It's
music helps too.
Music helps too. Yep. But if it's a really big, ugly frog, yeah, an accountability, somebody, to do it with you or hold you accountable for getting a certain amount done, is definitely helpful.
What would the frog eating partner be called?
I just think of it as an accountability partner.
Oh, it's so boring.
I know. I can't think of anything imaginative. You're the creative one. I'm not.
Gotcha. Okay. No worries.
I'm the analytical one.
So I love the concepts behind this book, and I love the graphic of the big hairy frogs and the ugliest frog, and having to eat a live frog. It really makes a lot of sense because we all have a lot of frogs in our lives. And
absolutely.
I think the people that I emulate, at least, and that I look up to, it's like, how did they do that? And I think they're really good frog eaters is really what it boils down to. Whatever you're doing. When I was married to Tom, I was always like, anything worth doing is going to have it's going to be hard. It's going to have trials and tribulation. And it's only when you look back and you go, the feeling of accomplishment is so great when you work through hard things.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is why this book is so cool, because it's teaching you and giving you strategy about how to accomplish hard things. Because it's so worthwhile, and they give us such a feeling of accomplishment.
Exactly, they definitely do. Yeah, I agree. So,
any other last thoughts? Any other things that you want to? Were there any pictures or any diagrams in the book that you want to share? Or
no pictures or diagrams. Okay.
I thought this was really cool. This is not a fresh book. This was originally published back in 2001. And it's on its third printing right now. So it has something powerful to say, that it's going through multiple printings. And
absolutely, it
still feels as fresh as if it was published this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's very relevant. I mean, everybody has their big ugly frogs to get done, and has challenges getting them done. So it just makes sense to tackle the hard. So many people can say, oh, just tackle your easiest quick hitting items first, but then you think this makes so much sense to me, because then it's like, oh, I'll just do one more quick thing and one more quick thing and one more quick thing, and you just gotta bite the bullet.
And then you don't have time for the ugly frog.
That's
the important thing that's really got to get done.
It goes back to that analogy of the professor who put the rocks in the jar, and first he put the sand in the jar,
it's the rocks, pebbles, sand.
But first
if you put the sand in first, you can fit a few pebbles, but chances are probably pretty great that you won't be able to fit all the rocks in.
Yes.
Where if you put the rocks in first,
The big hairy
then
ugly frogs,
then the pebbles go in, and
and
then
they
you
fill
can
in the
fill the
holes,
sand in.
and then you can fit. Yep, exactly. So,
And you can do everything that needs to get done if
yep,
you do rocks, pebbles, sand instead of
right.
vice versa.
Yep. So the big
So
things first.
really, this is the analogy. Those two analogies go
Go
perfectly
hand in
together.
hand. Yep, absolutely.
So
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, there's probably something on the web that has that analogy. I was just at a training a couple weeks ago, and I knew all about rock, pebbles, sand, but I suppose not everybody knows that.
Yeah, true.
I guess we can find a link perhaps and put that in the show notes if you're
Yeah.
not familiar with that concept of rocks, pebbles, sand.
Yeah. There's actually, there's a whole bunch of things about it.
But we'll find a favorite one that's
Yeah.
fun and
There's
catchy.
even images for it.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, with
Awesome.
that, Stell, we're gonna wrap things up and
Very good.
put a bow on it. It was fun talking to you, and
Lovely talking to you.
until next time.
All right. Sounds great, Lise.
Cool. Okay. Love you.
Bye-bye. Love you
Bye-bye.
too. Bye-bye.